Be sure to tune in to this episode of the Race and Pace podcast with me, Trent Lankford, as Coach Richards and I go over the Gruver Lady Hounds 2022 2A state championship season.
Welcome to the Race and Pace podcast. This is your pod host, Coach Stuart Richards. The Race and Pace podcast is back for the summer season and the second episode here of our summer podcast season. We're going to Class 2A, and I'm super thrilled and honored to have the 33-0 girls 2A state championship coach on today. Coach Trent Lankford, thank you for coming on the show. How is Gruver, Texas, Coach?
It is pretty windy this morning. It's a little overcast. We had a little rain last night, but all in all, it's a good day.
It rained in the Panhandle?
We got a little moisture yesterday, and we're hoping for some more today.
That's fantastic. My parents still live in Paducah, Texas, and I was talking to my mom last night, and she said it actually rained in the desert there, and so they were excited about that.
Well, that's great. Paducah, I'm familiar with Paducah because I'm from Chillicothe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Small world.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well, Coach, thank you for coming on the show. Super thrilled to have you, like I said, and we're going to dive right into it and talk about this fantastic season that you just finished. 33 wins, good grief, 0 losses, won the state title for the girls Class 2A. And really, first thing I'd like to talk about is what a season. Can you share with us and the coaches that listen some season hacks? How do you keep kids that focused for that long and just produce the way you guys produced in this thrilling season that you just had?
Well, I'll have to give a lot of the credit to the kids. I had a mature bunch of kids. I had 4 seniors, 4 juniors, so an experienced bunch. Had played a lot of basketball for the most part. And then, the leadership. I had really great leaders. My 4 seniors were tremendous all year long. But we just kept the main thing, and the main thing was that practice that day, or that game. And we never looked too far ahead. But we just kept focused on what we could control. And that was, what we're doing that day. We talked a lot about being where our feet are every day. And so I think that was a big part of the season because, we played a really strong schedule with some really quality programs. And we had to keep the focus and couldn't look ahead at any point in time, just because, that's the way I wanted them to approach it was, hey, let's keep the main thing every day, focus on today. Let's get 1% better each today and see what happens. And they did a great job of that.
Yeah. And I mean, looking at your schedule, good grief, Brownfield, just a few of the schools here, New Home, Ryder, Canyon, Canadian, and then of course your district, and then your ride in the playoffs and all the way down to the state tournament where you played San Saba, and then in the semis, and then Stanford out of my region 2, shout out to them in the state finals. Yes. So man, the schedule was loaded. And it looks like you guys set the tone. I got to watch your team play twice at the state tournament. And much like a lot of the teams there, I was just really, really in awe, by your team defense. So I think every coach listening probably wants to know a little bit about your defensive philosophy, how you drill it, and how you get your kids to play with such intensity and just get after people on the defensive side.
Well, I would like to tell you there's a secret, but there's really not. I really felt like it was the way that we approached and what we did in practice each day. Every drill is a rebounding drill. When we had our defensive segments, of practice. The intensity was there, the effort was there, and if it wasn't, then we figured out why it wasn't there, and then we fixed that. Um, but I wanted, we wanted these kids. I wanted them pressure on the ball, to be disruptive from the get go. So from the start, we put in our early defense where we're picking up the ball full court. We're not necessarily trapping or anything like that, but we are immediately picking up the ball, putting pressure on the ball. We're not giving them easy runs up the floor. And I really think that's where it started. And we have designated positions that pick up because it's not the mismatch I worry about. It was the no match.
Mm.
So we picked up early, and this is a defense that we started running or started working on in Amarillo. We actually picked it up. Mark Adams, if you know that name at all, he's the one that designed the early D back in his days at West Texas A&M for the likes of I think it was Central Oklahoma, who was a really solid, fast breaking team. And so he designed this defense to where they're picking up and certain people are getting to certain spots, and so most people had a offensive transition plan. Few people have a defensive transition plan. We had both.
Mm.
So we're trying to organize, and it's not okay. You've got number 33. No, it's pick up here. You're going here. You're picking up here, and so that's the design of the defense. And so it started right there. And so it took a while for the girls to figure out, what I wanted and how I wanted it done. But once we got there, we were able to slow teams down early. Kept teams, off balance because we're putting pressure immediately. We're trying to pick up, free throw line extended in the backcourt. Um, we've got built-in help. We're playing in the passing lanes above the offense, so we're not allowing straight line passes up the floor. And once they kind of figured that out, again, it was, I think that was where it started for us. And then once we got into the half court, it was stay in front of the ball, keep their feet between your feet, and try to control the basketball first to keep dominoes from falling. And so we worked on that a lot, and just the intensity with which we worked at it in practice, obviously transferred to the game. Um, but like I said, every drill was a rebounding drill for us. Uh, and again, we just every practice it was that way. We do a lot of what is called thunder closeouts, and we do it 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and then I'll put in whatever offensive emphasis I want or what I want the offense doing, so we can focus on that aspect of it on defense. Um, we do a couple of rebounding drills, just rebounding drills. I've just gotten into my career where I think that every drill is a rebounding drill. But we specifically did just a couple of rebounding drills if I felt like that we needed to focus on that aspect for that practice. And then they were, intense. If we didn't come out with maybe an elbow, somebody catching an elbow or something, then we probably didn't go hard enough.
You
So
guys are getting after it.
yeah, we got after it, and so I mean, the secret there's really no secret. It's just it's not what you do, but how you do it. And I thought, how these kids approach things and the day to day battles that we had were really key, especially when we got into the district part of it, because our district wasn't as strong, and we needed our daily practices to be our greatest competition sometimes. And that kept their focus pretty laser sharp. So again, credit to the kids just for the maturity and the ability to you know, keep that focus. And but again, it was just the day to day of trying to get 1% better and be where your feet are. And so I was really tickled with that. And then as we got into the playoffs, we were able to our scouting reports were really great. My assistant coaches were fantastic in getting a great scouting report to us, and so we could work on it and try to, you know, eliminate um, whatever the head of the snake was for the team, or try to take away what they wanted to do most. And for I think for the most part, we were able to do that.
Yes, sir. I'd say y'all did that quite well. And watching your teams and just hearing you describe it, the term disruptive control really kind of comes to mind when I think of your defense and the way your kids played it and the way you guys coached it. Uh, Disruptive control. I mean, just relentless. And so obviously you got a great scheme. It had some fantastic leadership, really talented players. How athletic do you think you have to be, or you need to be, rather, if you want to play that style of defense?
Well, obviously that I think that plays a part in it. I think you have to do what your kids are capable of doing. Um, you know, as a coach, uh, I think it's our job to look at our teams and figure out what would best fit this team. And then, because we can always adjust easier as coaches, in my opinion, than the kids can sometimes to maybe what we want to do. So, like, if you're trying, if like offensively, if you're trying to do a high low offense and you really don't have the kids for it, you know, I think we've got to figure out a better way to do that. So, defensively, I think if you have the good athleticism, we had some good length. And then, of course, every one of my kids were all district academic all district. My four seniors were all academic all state. So when you have high IQ kids, both off the court and on the floor, that helps too. um, you know, but we talked a lot about just like controlling the basketball. We got to start there, and then we want to be an early help to stop any dominoes from falling. You know, and but the athleticism, I mean, obviously that's a big part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of dominoes falling, what did you find in your defense would be an offensive action that you guys would put, what I guess would put you in dominoes? Like, what actions could the offense run that was difficult to defend in your opinion?
Well, when we weren't in control, the biggest thing was like off the dribble. If we didn't control the dribble, then we got in trouble because it forced us into rotations. And we were able to control the dribble against most teams, you know, for the most part. And those were the conversations that we would have in timeouts or at halftime, like, hey, we've got to control the ball better. We've got to force them to our checkpoints, but we've got to stay between them and the basket. And, you know, it's not letting the ball into the paint, or, you know, not letting it go middle. Um, and when we did those things, the dominoes don't fall quite as easily. And there were games that we didn't control it very well. I'll go to the Canyon game. When we played Canyon, we felt like that we could control the dribble well enough that we needed to shorten our rotations on the weak side. So like we were telling them, listen, you don't have to get all the way to the midline. You can stay at the lane line, because we felt like that we could control the dribble enough. Shorten that rotation so we get a shorter closeout on a kick out if they do pass it across. Um, you know, You go to the new home game at the regional tournament. We didn't control the dribble very well, and so that put us into rotations, and they were able to get into the paint. And that was a frustrating point of that game, is that we just weren't controlling the ball well enough. So it was you know, we talk about it in practices, like we want to try to touch the basketball, we want to get leather touches, disrupt the dribbles, and keep us from having to rotate. Um, but if we got into those rotations, we had a plan as far as Xing out, getting out to the shooters, nearest person, closing out. Again, not the mismatch that I worry about, it's the no match.
Mm.
So, again, with the IQ of the players that we had, we were able to get that done pretty successfully. And again, I didn't know this until after the season, and I got to looking at it, but we only had one team score 50 points on us this year. And that was Idalou, and that was like the second game of the year. And we didn't give up 50 points the rest of the year. So, again, a real testament to the kids buying in, working their butts off in practice every day, being coachable. Um, and allowing us to do those things to be the most successful that we could be.
That's awesome. Defense setting the tone for your championship season. Um, Before we move on to offense, if we're talking your ball screen defense, are you a switch it, a hedge it, a drop, a double out of it? How did y'all approach ball screens, typically speaking?
First part of the season, that's a really great question, because a few years ago, I became in the mindset of we're going to trap all ball screens. Um, because to me, if they're setting a ball screen, they're trying to get a ball handler to get to the paint, get them downhill. So let's make somebody else be the decision maker. Because if they pass out of it, then we're gonna rotate back in. So we started off the season trapping, uh, and then as the season progressed, we went into just a hedge and recover. There were times that we even switched some, just because, again, I felt comfortable with my girls being smart enough to switch to deny. And so we did that a little bit. Again, I think it came down to the team that we were playing against and kind of their scheme on it. We didn't see a ton of ball screens this year, but our at the end of the year, we were just a hedge and recover. Have help on the backside. Try to bubble the ball handler off the screen, and not let them get turned downhill. But we also forced them into uh, the screen. We did not want a rejection of the screen, so we flip our feet as the screen's coming, and if it's a side ball screen, we're going to flip our feet and force them into the screen. That way, they don't get the option to reject.
Man, Coach Lankford's giving a defensive clinic here on the Race and Pace podcast. So let's flip gears and move on a little bit to your offensive philosophy. You guys put up tons of points, and I'm imagining a lot of that came off of your defensive efforts, but also to do as well as you guys obviously did, you had to be really, really sound execution wise, offensively speaking. So on the offensive side of the ball, what are your philosophies generally speaking?
Uh, First off, on offense, like, we want to attack when the defense is most disorganized. So immediately, we're looking to push the ball, and I felt like we did a really good job of that for the most part. I've taken Mike Neighbors at Arkansas. I've taken his language of their fast break as far as the names. So we run. We have a racker, we have a rabbit, we have two locks, and we have a dragon. And we start our practices. Uh, we'll do a fundamental drill, maybe pivots and passes, or Nova shot fake and pass drill for a few minutes to get us moving, get us going, and then we're right into a fast break drill of some kind where we're pushing the ball up the floor and we're looking to attack early, whether it be uh, a disadvantage drill or an offensive advantage drill or a 3-on-3 full court, but we're doing something early in practice, and I mean quickly in practice, to play at a fast pace. And I really felt like that was a big part of who we were this year, that we were able to get off to quick starts because we started practices fast. And so uh, that's the first thing that I try to get to them is like, we're going to attack. I want to attack them when the defense is most disorganized. Um, so we do our fast break drills early. But then offense, once we got into the half court, um, we started off the season running just some Kansas stuff, which was a 4-out kind of one in. And we progressed to basically motion, which was a 4-out one in, but I, it was basically cutthroat that we would play almost daily, a 4-on-4 cutthroat, to where I'd give them certain, um, things like, okay, we're going to down screen. All right, we're going to just pass and cut. All right, everything's a dribble attack. And we worked on spacing, uh, you know, uh, worked on our shot fakes and things like that. But we talked about trying to gain taking a small advantage to create a bigger advantage. Um, and we wanted to, try to get paint touches as much as possible. So we ran motion, and then we also we put in just a little bit of high-low slide, the old high-low slide that Texas Tech used to run. I felt like I had kids that could post up and could create mismatches inside. And so we ran that, and it was, you know, the kids really enjoyed that because the ball would go in and come out, and we're hitting shots on the perimeter. So we try to do a little bit of a little faster paced offense to a more methodical. Hey, let's move the ball and get the ball moving as opposed to a bunch of player movement. Again, credit to the kids to be able to adapt and change and do those things, um, because we were very early. We were very kind of generic offensively, and then as the season progressed, we got into a few more things. Again, first year, the kids were learning everything, and I learned with them what we were able to do. And so we were able to keep teams off balance. But it was, when you have the ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter and make shots, that changes everything that you can do offensively. Because teams just can't sit on one thing. And we had multiple kids, and we talked about that a lot. Like, you just have to hit the one shot. You don't have to hit four or five of them. You got to hit that one open shot you get. And now teams like, okay, I got to guard her. So we had multiple heads of the snake. Of course, when you have the likes of a Bailey Maupin who can get a bucket at any time, who was just dangerous as all get out from free throw line and below. Um, that helps. And then when you have a Cameron Arms who can, basically shoot it from the parking lot and make shots from the parking lot, that doesn't hurt either. But again, we had multiple scores from multiple levels, and that made us hard to guard.
And so, talking about paint touches and post ups, are you an analytics guy? Are you trying to, manufacture an inside out approach before kids shoot threes, or is it just take the best, open shot? Or what is your approach, involving analytics and paint touches?
I'm not an analytical guy necessarily. I'm just I've been able and fortunate. That's a great question. Let me preface it with that. I've been able to learn from some really great coaches in my career. I've been around um, Jeff Williams at Amarillo High. You know,
Mm.
he's got, I don't know, 600 career victories. I've been around Joe Lombard. I've been around just some really great coaches in my career, blessed beyond belief in that regard. And I've always found that every one of them, they want to work inside to the outside. And so everything that we tried to do was touch the paint with the pass or the dribble, try to collapse the defense. And I just think that makes it, really hard to guard when you're able to get into the paint, collapse defense, kick out, uh, and maybe do it again, or kick out for the open three. And we were always trying to create long closeouts. So when we talked about dominoes falling on defense, we wanted to create those dominoes falling on offense. Um, so again, we were we weren't a set play team. We had a few set plays, and I'm probably just not very good at coaching set plays. Um, but we wanted again to attack early, and then if we got into the half court, we wanted to try to hunt a 7, 8, or a 9. Uh, you know, and if you went and looked at our teams, most this year we had a lot of 13, 14 assist ball games, so I felt like we shared the ball pretty well. Um, you know, because we tried to stay away from the contested shot. But again, when you have the likes of a Bailey Maupin who can rise up and shoot over the top of defenders, that never hurts either, you know. Or you got a Brenna Butler who can, she's slithery and she can get to the rim. And then you got a Cameron Arms who can, she can shoot it from 23 feet. Callie Conyers who can play inside and out. Just makes you really hard to guard whatever you do. And so that was a real blessing for those kids. And then Kimber Whitehead came on, and she just would hit a shot. She hit a huge three against Canyon in the overtime. And I told the coaches after the game, I said, I was so glad that she took that shot. I didn't care if she hit it, but just the fact that she took it meant she's listening. Because going back to what you asked about shooting the ball and everything, I don't give kids a red light. Like, if you're not hitting a shot, then you've got to get in the gym and shoot. But if you're getting the open shot and it's uncontested and it's in range and you're in rhythm and you're not shooting it, I'm asking you why.
Mm.
Because if we get those shots and they feel free to take that, I'm confident that they're going to hit it. And if they're not, then they got to get in the gym.
Yeah,
And
I love that philosophy, Coach. At Alvord, I tell the girls our offensive philosophy is we're going to tee it high and let it fly.
there you go.
And
Yeah,
so and it's so fun to see kids kind of rise up and kind of take on that mantra and get in the gym and work, and then really have the confidence when the pressure's on, like you're talking about your girl in overtime hit a big three. That's a fun moment as a coach, to see kids progress like that.
sure.
And it's part of the beauty of coaching. And I'm wrapping up, I guess, well, not wrapping up, I just wrapped up my 21st year in education. And what year did you just wrap up?
24.
Well, congratulations. And
Thank you.
that's so awesome. And when you're thinking of 24 years, how many years of that have you been a head coach?
I've actually only been a head coach. This was my 7th year as a head coach. I've been assistant a majority of my career. Again, blessed, worked under Jeff Williams at Amarillo High for 2 stints. And I've just been blessed to be around a lot of great coaches on the girl side and the boy side. So I'm a junkie. Like I'm passionate about the game because of what it can do for you, what it can do for kids. And I look at things, and like I don't have just a set system like this is what we're going to do every year. There are things that we're going to do, but I just look at it. I look at my team, and I try to figure out like what can we do to best fit this group of girls. Um, and there are some things that I've stayed with, but for the most part, like I'll try anything. I've had multiple talks with Joe Lombard that he's said the same thing. Like he just probably tries too many things. But I also think that's great for the kids. I think it keeps the kids fresh and it, keeps them on their toes, so to speak. And I think they enjoy that, and not just the monotony of okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. They enjoy the spontaneity of it.
Yeah.
Um, so but I just, yeah, 24 years. Man, the list is long of coaches that I've been able to pick their brains of. AJ Johnson, Kevin Richardson, Kurt Richardson. And I just multiple conversations. Any chance I get, I try to get a question or two. You go Tyler Helms at Idalou,
Hmm.
Rob Schmicker at Panhandle.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I've just again tried to absorb and be a sponge, and just take in all I can from these coaches over these years, and again try to pour it back into my kids in some way, whether it be my own kids or the team I'm coaching. So um, it's been a lot of fun. I don't know what else I do. I don't know if I have any other skills. I might be a greeter at Walmart or something, but
Talk basketball with them.
yeah, anybody. So
You know,
uh,
Coach Joe Lombard, man, he came on one of the early episodes of the Race and Pace podcast, and I was just blown away. I've been so fortunate to have guys like you and just wonderful coaches come on. I need to reach out to Coach Williams, Jeff Williams, and get him on the show because that would just be another clinic. But it sounds like you're talking about just being a lifelong learner and absorbing as much as you can, and then taking things that kind of fit your personality or your kids and implementing them. And that's part of the beauty of coaching to me, and it's ever changing. And speaking of that, looking forward to next year with your team and the amount of kids you're graduating. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm really excited about the team that I have right now. I'll get my daughter back. She'll be a sophomore. She tore her ACL in the second scrimmage, so she didn't get to play this year.
Mm.
But she was the greatest teammate all year long, and created a lot of energy on the bench, and so we call that Benergy, for bench energy, and she was kind of the head of that. And by the time we got to state, our bench energy was, to me, outstanding. And on my desktop in the office, I just have a picture of our bench and the excitement they were bringing to the floor at a moment of the game. But the team that I have coming back, I've got two starters with Brenna Butler, Kimber Whitehead. Um, then I've got Allie Sparks and Maisie Kelp that were coming off the bench and played big minutes for us. Again, my daughter Hannon, she'll be a big part. Keeping her healthy is obviously concern as a dad. But I love my team. I think we'll be competitive. Um, and obviously when you have the expectations, um, that's a big part of it.
For
And
sure.
I've been super pleased with what we've done up to this point, for summer, and just any little practice that we got in the spring, because you know how it is in the small school. You don't get much time with them in the spring. Uh,
No.
it's not like Amarillo where we had them every day for the period, and then we were having open gyms after school. Uh, Small school, we get them when we can get them, and so whatever little practices we've had, the girls have had great energy. They've had uh, excellent effort, and so I'm really excited about the group that I have for varsity next year, and then I've got some good younger classes coming. So I'm super excited about our future at Gruver for our girls, and so it's not without going to take a lot of work. I mean, it's going to be a process, and like we talk about every day, we just got to enjoy this process of it. And we're not who we are or who we want to be, but it's about who we're becoming.
Mm, absolutely. Embrace the race. Uh,
Yes.
and so, for our coaches listening, can you give us a drill that is one of your favorites or just a staple, regardless of the schematic? You're running that's a staple of Lady Hound's program.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. Because like I said, I'm pretty eclectic, and so I'll try things and might work. But I probably the one that comes to mind is we try to do a lot of like small sided game type stuff. So one that we do is we do. I'll give you two. So our transition drill that we do is called Pinewood, and we do it 3-on-3 and 4-on-4. And it's so you have two teams, and here are your rules. Like the ball has to punch the paint. So we actually are talking about it's your podcast is race and pace.
Mm-hmm.
We are race and space.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about getting to the world. So we want to go hunt um, the jump circle on the offensive end. So we
Mm-hmm.
want to go hunt the world so we can eat. And so in this drill, the ball has to hunt the world before a pass can be made, unless the pass is a kick up pass for a layup
Okay.
or a wide open shot. Okay. Or unless it's a one more pass. So every time, like, so you're crossing 3-on-3, you're crossing, pushing it 3-on-3. So you got to hunt the world. You got to create space. Um, all catches have to be outside the 3-point line. But if you catch it, you either shoot it or you have to drive it. You can't pass it unless it's a one more pass. Or if you're playing 4-on-4 and there's a double team, you can pass out of a double team. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, no, I got you. I got
Okay.
you.
So we go down on offense. We're looking for that. Defensively, if the defense gets a deflection, it's a turnover. They don't even have to steal it. All they got to do is deflect it. And then um, the defensive end can call violations. In other words, if the ball doesn't touch the world or doesn't hunt the world, like they can call it, and it's a turnover and it goes the other way. So the offense goes down and they're trying to score and get the best shot that they can get. And if they don't, then they transition back on defense. And the next three people on the defensive end are coming on. So it's a fast paced offensive and defensive drill. Are you following me on that?
Yes, sir. Sounds
Okay.
awesome.
So you
Continuous.
go down on offense, back on defense to off.
Okay.
So you always like we put our rackers underneath the basket, and the rackers are point guards, and they're the people who are responsible for pushing the ball. Our locks, we don't run the middle of the floor. We don't rim run at that point. We just run to our lock spots. We try to lock down the money spots and create that space so they can hunt the world. Uh, Now, I do allow them a burn cut. So, like if the defense is playing up the line and you can backdoor cut them for a layup, you can make that pass after the world has been touched. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'm hearing
Okay.
a lot of, Coach Neighbors influence, Tyler Costin's,
Yes. Race and
uh,
pace.
yes,
I mean,
off
race and space.
racing pace, yeah, or space philosophies, and that Pinewood sounds like a wonderful drill to, teach what you're wanting to get. And those drills like that, I'm sure the kids just love playing those.
Oh, they do. They love playing it, and they love calling violations on the teams when they don't. do the right things. And so we do that 3-on-3 and then 4-on-4. The other one that we do is just it's called 1-2-3 passing. So you have two teams and they're on the sidelines and you're just in the half court. And you have an offensive side, you have a defensive side, but both sides have a ball and they pass the ball up the side. So, say if you're on offense, you're going to pass it to the girl in the middle, which is kind of, halfway between baseline and half court. And then she's going to turn and pass it to the girl at half court. So, right up the sideline. The
Okay.
girl that starts it has to sprint and get in front of her girl on her sideline to receive the ball back. So she gets in front of the third girl to receive the pass back. Okay. The
Okay.
girl in the middle that passed it has to sprint to the other side of the floor. Where she wants to go, that's on to her, but she just has to get across the midline to the other side of the floor. And I just tell them, go get to where you're dangerous. And then the girl that passes it to the guard that gets even with her, she just feels that open lane. So you get to a 3-on-2 to a 3-on-3. Does that
Oh, okay.
make sense?
Yes. No, that's awesome. I've never heard of that.
So
That's
on the
great.
defensive side, the girl that starts with the ball, she has to run and guard the ball. So she's got to sprint all the way across the floor to guard the ball. The girl in the middle who passed it up the sideline, she sprints to the midline. The girl that catches it at half court, she has to run the ball to a coach who is standing around the jump circle. They can't pass it to them, they have to run it to them. So that creates an immediate kind of advantage offense. And then
Hmm.
she's running in as the trail defender.
Oh man, that's great.
And it's a quick 3-on-2. So we're trying to create quick decisions, the right decisions, and get the quickest and best shot that we can before we get to 3-on-3.
While you still have the advantage, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's
So we'll
awesome.
go like 5 possessions offense, and then we'll flip it and just move the and so we'll just, when I say flip it, we just switch roles. The other three girls become offense, and then the other side's defense. So we'll go 5 possessions, 5 possessions. We'll put 6 minutes on the clock. If we get through those 10 possessions, we make it competitive. You know, I think there's a lot of situational in that, because like if you're down a bucket, like you need to get the best shot. If you're down two, you might be hunting a three for the win. So you get some situational stuff in it. The girls love it; they get after it. Um, you know, and then of course, every drill's a blockout drill, a rebounding drill. So you're trying to crash the boards and get offensive rebounds, but you're also trying to get stopped by getting defensive rebounds, and then the girls just move up. So the girl that's at the start, she moves to the middle. The girl who's middle moves to the third line. The girl that's the third line goes all the way back to the start.
Okay, gotcha.
So what we do there is multiple people get to be the decision maker. So
Mm,
it's kind of positionless basketball.
that's wonderful, Coach. Thank you for sharing both those drills. Um, and in closing, Coach, it's been an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing and taking a peek inside your awesome program. Congratulations on finishing up your 24th year as an educator. That's such a cool thing. And in closing, wish you luck moving forward. And thank you for coming on the Race and Pace podcast.
Absolutely, Coach Richards. I appreciate you having me on. It's been an honor, and I'm humbled to just get to talk basketball with anybody. So I want to give a shout out to you for expanding the game and sharing the game. And it's been awesome, and I look forward to listening to future coaches on here and learning from them on this. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And, hopefully I'll get to meet you someday and shake your hand.
Absolutely, coach. And trust me, the the honor is all mine. The coaches I've reached out to have all been so gracious with their time and willing to share. And coaching is a fraternity, and I can't wait to meet you one day in person. And I'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, coach. I appreciate it.
Likewise, thank you. Take care.
All right.
Bye.